Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. This is a very special episode of Bathrobe Business where I come to you without my bathrobe. I'm about to go to work, so I structured my morning a little bit differently today. So I'm out of the robe. I still got my coffee, fresh out of the shower, a way you guys I don't think have ever seen me. So let's jump into the news. So there's actually a few small stories. It seems like there's not a lot going on in the market, but there's a few small stories that aren't getting a lot of coverage that I feel are very impactful. So let's start with the Dow. The Dow is down just 86 points. Current Dow Jones is 37,845. S&P is 4809. Nasdaq is 16,977. Oil is again ticking up, and I think this has to do with the issues in the Red Sea, and we are going to talk about that. So oil is again ticking up. Remember, just last week it was at $69 a barrel. It is now up $6 in 1 week. Gold, our favorite indicator, is steadily creeping back up. It is still above that baseline that it seems to have settled at 2040. It is currently at $2,050. So let's jump into the stories. So holiday spending has been up per person 31% this year. So this is according to a CNBC poll. This kind of undercuts everything we usually talk about. So I always talk about the fact that I don't think that rate cuts are coming because I don't think the economy has the indicators that justify a rate cut. Spending is once again up this holiday season. So according to the CNBC poll, it is up 31% and the average spend per person is $1,300 this year. And this is also with some of the respondents saying they're planning to spend more, continue to spend more during this holiday season. However, 18% of respondents did say that they feel the economy is on shaky ground. So it's kind of interesting that we're getting this dichotomy that people are saying that the economy is on shaky ground, that they're not confident about it, but yet they continue to spend, which is an interesting scenario because oftentimes people's actions don't reflect their opinions. And I think this is one of those examples, but spending is once again up. Another indicator of that is Costco. Costco hits another record high as far as their stock price. Sales are continuing to drive it. So this is, again, another warning that retail sales are very, very hot right now. In other news, the U.S. mortgage rate has dropped to a new rate of 6.83%. This is the lowest it's been since June. So it is below 7% now. This is, I think, another indicator of why Jerome Powell might not be cutting interest rates anytime soon because people are still getting rewards from mortgages off of 10-year yields and different types of bond structures. So I think that this means there's not going to be a rate cut. I know I am very hawkish about the fact that I think tightening is going to continue. If you guys tune into my channel every day, I keep talking about how I think the reaction to his speech last week was overblown. I am still maintaining that. I do not think he's going to be cutting. Construction of new houses also jumped about 15% in November alone. Now, the big story of the day, this is the one I really want to talk about. Oh, I will mention these other stories as well, smaller stories at the end of the video. But I don't know if you guys are tracking what's going on in the Red Sea, but it is actually kind of a major story. So Saudi Arabia and Yemen have been in war for, I think, the last 7 or 8 years. I think there was just finally a ceasefire earlier this year. It was really just a slaughter of the Yemenis people by the Saudis. If you go to antiwar.com, I strongly recommend you do, and search Saudi Arabia, search Yemen. You'll find amazing, unbiased stories of what was actually going down and how the U.S. just essentially sanctioned genocide in that region. However, this isn't about politics. This is about business. So the Houthi rebels in that region have been attacking tanker ships and oil ships. So already Denmark and German companies have rerouted through, instead of going through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea, have rerouted to go down through the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. This is going to reduce effective capacity by at least 25%. So that's not a major reduction. That is a major reduction. In addition, over 100 container ships are now rerouting as well. So this is going to be very powerful inflationary pressure. This is kind of another kind of another hash in the tally of the fact that inflation, I think, is going to keep being driven forward because this is straight up supply chain issue. We've got supply chains now with oil, and we have supply chain issue with actually goods and services. The other thing to remember is the Suez Canal is a shortcut. So going around South Africa is going to be more expensive simply because of the geographic landmass you have to cover. So we're talking about more oil being used, higher price of goods because of it. So we're going to keep tracking the story, but I think this is actually a really major story that isn't given enough credit. There is already talk that the U.S. is going to step in and do something. I do worry whenever the U.S. says that because it usually means more military action. It usually means more bombs being thrown, more people dying. But we'll see what comes of it in the coming days. But I think this is going to be one of the biggest drivers of inflation right now, more than anything else. Last two stories are very minor. So Apple is going to pause the sales of its new Apple Watch because of a patent dispute. So apparently they poached a bunch of execs from another company in order to make their pulse oximeter. So the little sensor that is able to measure oxygen levels in your blood, they poached it from another company and apparently infringed on its patents. And now a court is siding with them. They had about 3 months in order to contest this, or in order to, I should say, come to a licensing agreement with that company. They did not. They were essentially expecting the Biden administration just to simply overrule the ruling, which they did not do, and I think is a good thing. So now they are rushing to either change their patent or to change their software and hardware, or cease sale of the watch entirely before end of year. So that's going to be funny to watch. I do kind of like it when these big companies actually have to deal with real problems. I'm going to say it's satisfying. Last story is about Tesla. So Tesla, this is interesting. I had a cousin that worked at Tesla, and so yearly they would get large stock offerings. He would take advantage of it every year. It was one of the best things of working at Tesla. Their pay is okay. Honestly, it's probably below what most people anticipate. However, where you really make money is the stock. He made quite a bit of money on stock, helped him start his business, and it's a major contributor to why people work there. So this year, Tesla is not offering their yearly merit-based stock award. They have not responded to reasons as to why. At the same time, the United Auto Workers Union said in November it's launching its first of its kind push to publicly organize the entire U.S. auto workers. So right now, when we talk about auto workers, we're usually talking about GM, Ford, and Chrysler, or Chrysler Fiat, Chrysler, whatever they're calling themselves right now. This is going to affect Tesla, but also actually other automakers, because there are other automakers in the United States, namely Toyota, Honda, etc. So the UAW is strongly trying to push for Tesla to unionize. So this is going to be a story that can develop into something major, because right now Tesla has avoided a lot of the costs that come with unionization and have been able to grow so exponentially because of the lack of unionization. So if this does happen, it's going to be a major change in the auto industry. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to get backing from the big three, because you have to imagine right now Tesla is at an advantage compared to them. So if you can sabotage your enemy, since you have to sign the contract anyway, if you have to have your enemy drink the poison, even if you do, you probably will. So I would say this is a good likelihood that if the push comes hard enough, this will happen, because I think the big three are going to back this. I think Tesla has become enough of a thorn in their side that they're figuring, well, we have to sign these contracts. We better push to make sure everybody has to sign these contracts. That's it. That's the last story of the day. I'm going to get to work. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.